Welcome to the deep dive. We're tackling a really fascinating area today, using AI language models, LLMs, to maybe, boost your creative writing.
Yeah.
Our goal is to dig into a pretty smart workflow someone described using a tool called Cursor. We want to see how you might use it for drafting, say, fiction or even technical stuff.
Right. Potentially saving a lot of time, but still getting something that sounds like you, using different AIs for different jobs.
Exactly.
And it's interesting how this user started. Their initial thought was actually quite ambitious. They wanted to build their own open source writing software using Cursor.
Oh, okay.
But then they sort of pivoted. They realized that dealing with third-party API access, the costs and complexity for users, it was maybe too much. So they decided to just use Cursor directly.
So a practical shift. Makes sense. It sort of sets the stage for how you might actually use this stuff rather than building it.
Precisely. It's a user-focused approach right from the start.
Okay, so a really key point here, I think, is that different LLMs kind of have their own flavors, right? Their own styles.
Definitely. The user we looked at found DeepSeek, or maybe ChatGPT, felt a bit more personable, more human-like for fiction writing.
Okay, more characterful.
Yeah. But then for technical writing, or if they needed really precise prose or dialogue, maybe during revisions, Claude was the preference.
Right, because Claude can be very, precise. So it's about picking the right tool for the job, leveraging those inherent biases.
You got it. Matching the AI's strength to your writing task. But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The personalized style guide.
This was the bit that really stood out to me. They basically use the AI's ChatGPT and Claude to analyze their own writing.
Exactly. Think about that. You're essentially training the AI on your voice by feeding it examples of your work.
That's pretty cool. So you get the AI to learn how you write, and then you plug that analysis back into Cursor as project rules, setting the point of view, the tense, present tense, omniscient, whatever.
That's the idea. So the AI isn't just spitting out generic text. It's trying to generate a rough draft that already sounds closer to your style. That could be a huge time saver.
Yeah, definitely a better starting point.
It moves beyond just generic AI stuff. You're guiding it from the get-go. And they even got into managing, those little writing pet peeves we all have.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, this user apparently had strong feelings about semicolons, colons, maybe too many em dashes.
Okay. I can relate to that.
So the solution was simple. Just add rules about them right into the project settings in Cursor. Don't use semicolons or, limit em dash use.
Wow. Okay. So you can get really granular with the control, telling the AI exactly what not to do stylistically.
It's all about guiding its tendencies. And you have to think of Cursor here as more than just like a text editor.
Right. It's acting as the interface to all these different LLMs.
And also the central hub for the project. All your files, your notes, your data, it's all there.
And that matters because Cursor keeps that info in the LLM's context memory, right? It's like the AI's short-term memory for the project.
Exactly. So the AI has a much better grasp of what's going on, what you've already written, the characters, the plot points, which leads to more coherent output. How you structure your workflow makes a huge difference.
Okay, so let's talk workflow. How did they handle plot development?
It was quite structured. They'd start with a basic outline, maybe generated by the LLM, but then they'd work with the AI to flesh it out into a detailed scene-by-scene structure.
So a collaboration, not just telling the AI, write me a story.
Definitely a partnership.
Okay.
And they shifted from thinking in big chunks like acts or chapters to focusing really tightly on individual scenes.
Interesting. So for each scene, they'd map out
things like the scene's purpose, the setting, the overall tone. Even specific lines of dialogue or bits of prose they wanted included exactly as written, verbatim.
Okay, like giving the AI very specific building blocks for each scene.
That's a good way to put it. And that level of detail helps maintain control and, coherence, especially for longer projects. The process was systematic. Generate a scene, user corrects and adds things, then move to the next.
Sequentially.
And if the project got really long and maybe the AI started losing track, they had a strategy.
Which was?
Start a fresh chat or conversation, but feed it the detailed outline again, plus the last completed scene for context.
Smart. Like giving it a recap before the next step. Keeps it on track.
Yeah, avoids the AI kind of drifting off.
Yeah.
And doing this scene by scene, iterating. That's how they got to a complete first draft.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the main takeaway seems to be pick the right LLM for the style you need, create that personalized style guide by analyzing your own work, and then use a really structured, scene-focused workflow maybe in a tool like Cursor.
Absolutely. It lets you leverage AI seriously effectively, and you end up with a much, much stronger starting point for your writing.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? So, for you listening, how might this kind of approach change the way you tackle the start of a writing project?
Yeah, and what bits of your specific style would you want to bake into an AI style guide first? Something to chew on, definitely. Making AI a real collaborator.